Good morning. Welcome to United First Parish Church. Whoever you are, whomever you love, wherever you are on your journey. Welcome to our Unitarian Universal Spirit. As we gather today, we acknowledge we are on the personal hands of the Constitution of Massachusetts, a people who have lived here for generations. I am John Sinchan, and my pronouns are in him. Friends from near and far, here in person or via live stream, longtime members and friends and to each and all. First-time visitors or returning members, if you're comfortable, go ahead and raise your hand so that we may offer you a small token. We are glad you are here, and we hope you and everyone present today join us for a social hour at Parish Hall following the service. Our worship team this morning includes Reverend Rebecca Froom, Elizabeth Foster, our Director of Religious Education and Family, greeters and ushers Paul, Marilyn, and Bill, our live streaming team Noel, our musicians Tony Winters, our acting director of music, and members of the music choir. Flowers from Claire, Pat, Allegra. We strive to be a welcome community of people of all ages and abilities. In the back of the sanctuary, we are ushers to find worship. Hearing assistant headsets that connect to our sound system, which can also be helpful for people sensitive to distracting background noise, as well as children's books, busy bags, and drawing materials that families are welcome to bring to their seats. We have handicapped accessible bathrooms on our lower level elevator access. Please see a greeter if you need to use the restroom. As we prepare ourselves for worship, let's speak correctly. Feeling the spirit of life and love that moves within, between, and beyond us all. I invite Reverend Rebecca to share reading as we light our chalice, symbol of the Unitarian Universalist.
Our chalice lighting reading this morning is by Kenneth Patton. Let us worship. Let us worship with our eyes and ears and fingertips. Let us love the world through heart and mind and body. We feed our eyes upon the mystery and revelation in the faces of our brothers and sisters and siblings. We seek to know the wistfulness of the very young and the very old, the wistfulness of people in all times of life. We seek to understand the shyness behind arrogance, the fear behind pride, the tenderness behind clumsy strength, and the anguish beyond cruelty. All life flows into a great common life if we will only open our eyes to our hands. So let us worship, not in the bowing down, not with the closed eyes and stopped up ears. Let us worship with the opening of all of the windows of our beings, with the full outstretching of our spirits. Life comes with singing and laughter, with tears and confiding, and with a rising wave too great to be held in the mind and the heart and the body. To those who have fallen in love with life, let us worship and let us learn to love.
Please rise as you are willing and able to read the congregation's covenant. Words are found in service or chat. As a free fellowship, this historic church, we unite to lift our hearts and open our minds to the larger reality, to accept, support, and encourage, to seek the wisdom of all religions, to cherish and sustain the web of life, and to strive for justice, compassion, peace. Let us greet one another in the spirit of fellowship.
Good morning.
As we remain standing in body or spirit, let us lift our voices in song. 1, 1, 2. Do you hear?
Do you hear my prayer? Do my praise when you stand? Through the sky, through the wind, through the heights on the through the veil of the face, through the sun, through the through the throng of the do you hear it? Our soul, so feel right. Hear the hearts all together, hear the sighs of you, hear the soul, soul. From the waves where you stand to the elder, stand, do you hear our life? Do you hear the all the trees, all the skies, all the fish, we were yours like
And I invite our children and circle team up to the front of you on your right for our message for all ages. Hello to our small spirit group today. Anyone like to open the message? It is a bowl. That is exactly right. I wonder what that's about. So this morning I'm going to share a story from Ghana about a Nancy the spider who decided that he wanted to gather all of the wisdom in the world and keep it for himself. He was very curious, but he was also afraid that if other people were wise, then he wouldn't be special anymore. So as you listen, you can think about whether the wisdom that we collect with our curiosity is something we keep for ourselves, or should we share it with the world? And there might be different answers at different times. Anansi the spider loves to spin a tale. He can regale you for hours with stories full of wonder, stories full of fun, and stories full of facts. Because he is so nosy, Anansi knows almost everything about almost everybody. Almost. But Anansi wants to know everything. So one day he goes to the house of the sun god. Oh, mighty sun god, you see everything and everyone. Won't you share your great wisdom with me? I'll use it very wisely to spin tales of wonder and fun for everyone. The sun god says, Anansi, I will put all the wisdom in the world here in this bowl. You must share this wisdom with everyone. Anansi promises to do so. Now, Anansi takes this bowl home. He looks deep into it, and sure enough, he sees sights that he has never seen before. He hears sounds he did not know existed. This is too good to give away. I will keep this great wisdom for myself, thinks Nancy. I must hide it, he says, and he looks around for a good hiding place. Now he decides to climb to the top of the tallest tree. There he's going to tie up this bowl and the leafy branches will hide it. He starts climbing the tree, holding it in front of him. Now climbing is very hard. Have you ever climbed a tree while holding the bowl? Anansi wishes he has 9 limbs instead of 8. His youngest daughter is outside and sees what a hard time he's having. Father, I think it would be easier if you tied that to your back. Then all your limbs would be free for climbing. Do you think Anansi is happy to get good advice from his daughter? No. That's right, no. She is right. That would be easier. Why is it that some young pup thinks of this when I, who possess all the wisdom of the world, did not? Anansi gets so angry that he throws the bowl to the ground. And all the wisdom of the world comes flowing out of it. Some falls here, some falls there. No one gets all of the wisdom, but everyone does get a little bit. And that is why, even today, wisdom is everywhere. If you listen to the stories spun by storytellers all over the world, you will hear it. And now we're gonna sing our Spirit Circle books out. Through the sharing of our joys and our sorrows, we create a sacred space where we are deeply present with ourselves and one another. This is a time for us to briefly share those life milestones that lift our spirits with joy and hope, or those pains and losses that fill us with heartache. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share, there are a number of ways to share. Folks joining us over Zoom can share their joy or sorrow in the chat, and we'll make that aloud for you here. For folks in the sanctuary, a reminder that you can fill out a written joys and sorrows card. That's your preferred way of sharing earlier in the service. And for folks sharing a spoken joy or sorrow, you can come over to this microphone, or alternatively, you can raise your hands and Marilyn will bring the microphone to you. And for folks sharing a spoken joy and sorrow, please first say your name so that we might all know it. Representing all of those joys and all of those sorrows that we hold silently in the sanctuary of our hearts. May the light of these candles and the compassion of this community remind us that wherever we are on our journey, each of us is worthy of love, and each of us is able to love. Let us take a deep breath together. Turning to that breath, that spirit of life and love that is always there to ground and guide us. Breathe in, feeling the strength of your own body. Breathe out, acknowledging the vulnerability of your own body. Breathe in, bringing attention to any one of your senses, breath, sound, touch, and return again to your own loved and loving body as we enter a time of shared meditation. Will you lift your hearts and join me in the spirit of prayer, listening in these words for the language of faith most meaningful to you. Eternal presence, known by many names, known in many ways. We gather this morning as a community of care and connection and compassion. We gather here in the heart of the city and gather here heart to heart and screen to screen to awaken our minds and open those hearts. And so we open our hearts with joy and gratitude for the blessings of our lives, for time spent with family and friends, for arms that encircle us with love throughout all of the ups and downs of life. We open our hearts in joy and gratitude for the abundant blessings of spring, the chorus of life, reminding us in birdsong, sound of wind moving between us, that we are indeed part of that precious, interdependent web of life. We open our hearts with care and concern for all those who are struggling. We open our hearts to those facing new diagnoses, for those who are struggling with their health of both knowns and unknowns. May they have strength and good medical care and space to name whatever they are feeling in the midst of this health journey. We open our hearts in care for all the caregivers, that they might be blessed with whatever combination of strength and courage and patience and rest and love that they need in order to journey in their beloveds. Source of our being, source of our goodness, in a time that continues to unwind before us with uncertainty. May we continue to have open hearts, open minds, to be present with the suffering around us, and be present to the possibilities that dwell within, between, and among us, so that we might continue to be a blessing to the world. We pray this for love's sake. Amen. And blessed be. As you remain seated, would you join me in singing hymn number 1023, Building Bridges? So we didn't check in ahead of time. Unison or around? Unison. Great. We'll do it as a unison 3 times. Yeah, 3 times in unison. Building bridges between our divisions, each other. Friends in the race, building bridges between our divisions, each other. Our reading this morning is by Krista Tippett, the author, radio host, podcaster, who writes and interviews about faith and interfaith wisdom in our world. And she writes, in response to the famous Maria Rilke letter to a young poet, oh goodness, letter to a young poet about loving the questions and living questions. So in response to that poem, she writes, I find a question to be a mighty form of words. And I have learned a few things about questions. That questions elicit answers in their likeness. The answers rise or fall to the questions that they meet. We've all seen this. We've all experienced it. It's very hard to respond to a combative question with anything but a combative answer. It's almost impossible to transcend a simplistic question with anything but a simplistic answer. But the opposite is also true. It is hard to resist a generous question. This is a skill that needs relearning. But I believe we all have it in us to ask questions that invite, that draw forth searching in dignity and revelation. There is something redemptive and life-giving about asking a better question. And it is a deep truth in science and also in each of our lives that we are shaped as much by the quality of the questions we are asking at any given point as by the answers we have in us to give. These moments in our lives, when a better quality of question rises up in us to stop us in our tracks, they are pivot points. They are moments where discovery and new possibility break in. And so the invitation here, she writes, is to engage the adventure of a new curiosity and reverence for the questions that are alive in you. The questions alive in the world that you feel drawn to. This move I'm describing is intimate. And it is civilizational all at the same time. It's important to get conscious and aware of the fact that the questions we have been trained to ask, to trade in, the questions we reflexively ask, at least in Western culture, are not suited to the fact that we have a world to live in. We are very fluent in blunt, materialistic, capitalist questions. What? How soon? How much? What I hope we can learn to do is to add questions of a moral imagination to that mix. Questions like, and to what human effects, and how much is enough? Tippett ends this essay with an invitation. She writes, I have also taken living the questions as a practical exercise, a spiritual discipline. And I commend that to you. Formulate a question that is rolling around in your life or in that boundary between what is personal and what is public. Write it down, hone it, and make a commitment to it. Commit to having it over your shoulder even here as you move through life. See what it invites you to see and move towards and to move away from. I would start by writing this down and giving it a month or giving it a year. I have found that if you are faithful to living a question, that question will be faithful back to you. Early in my training to be a minister, I spent a summer working as an intern chaplain at a hospital in downtown Philadelphia. 11 intensive clinical hours that I felt vastly unprepared for. Educational hours with a group of fellow seminarians. One-to-one meetings with the supervisor of the clinical pastoral education program. The group was interfaith, so that particular year our cohort various iterations of Protestants. My supervisor was herself Methodist. And on the larger chaplaincy staff, there were people Catholic and Muslim and Jewish and Protestants. And of course, in the city of Philadelphia, in that corner in the Atlantic that served, extended to New Jersey, parts of Pennsylvania, there were people of many backgrounds. And one day in our one-to-one meeting, my supervisor said, "It seems to me that one of the core values of Unitarian Universalism is curiosity." And in my head, flipping through what were at the time the 7 principles and 6 sources, and I'm like, wait, where's the word curiosity? And it wasn't quite written down, but she wasn't looking at that document. She was looking at me and my work, knowledge of Unitarian Universalism through other chaplains and teachers. And what she saw was curiosity. This impulse to understand the faith backgrounds people are from, to not make assumptions about their beliefs or what might happen after death. And so I carried this idea of curiosity as a core component of our faith into my remaining weeks, and really all the years since then. Curiosity. How it is linked to questions, asked and unasked. Hospitals are full of questions. Questions of medical and scientific inquiry to help us understand diagnosis and prognosis and the medical plan going forward. Ethical questions, existential questions. Why is this happening to me, my loved one, my community? Super practical questions from overwhelmed family. Where is the bathroom, and is there a place I can get a cup of coffee at home? Theological questions. Where is God in this? I don't believe in God. What do I have to ground myself? Hospitals are full of questions, and few of them start with, what do you do for work? How are you today? Those common questions we have in the regular world. A lot of that, we might get to those. We might come back to what do you do for work? Or the question, how are you, might truly be seeking an answer. But it's a different laboratory of questions. And so curiosity was a core value, not just for Unitarian Universalism, for hospitals, for the ways that we care for one. And then that 11 weeks was over, trained. No, if you're truly a hospital chaplain, like another several years of training, like our former student, Allison Jablonski, did all of that. And now back into this world where we ask, what do you do? Implicit in that, what do you make? Where do you live? Who are your people? Who did you vote for? Who did you not vote for? Questions that have a lot of assumptions in why they're being asked. And so I return to this essay from Krista Tippett from time to time, and this idea she has of generous questions. Questions of discovery where new possibility expand. Questions of reverence that help us engage the adventure of a new curiosity. Questions that feel alive in us and in the conversations they help create. How many of you at some point in school were taught, to write an essay by answering what, when, where, why, how? Even a little bit? Yeah. Also, it's also the formula for like a birthday party. These basic questions, what, when, why, how. And they have their uses. And they can be used combatively or generously. Journalist Monica Guzman works studying the political divide in our country and describes a time in the Pacific Northwest where she was living and working, taking a group of people from a politically blue unit district to a politically red unit district and having them get to know each other and ask questions. They started with some combative questions. And within that, an assumption, as she was thinking about it, she saw an assumption that if we voted for different people, you were voting against me. And have them move from these kind of combative why questions, why could you possibly, to some how questions. And not a combative how could you, but a how did you come to that vote? Or how did you come to support this bill that perhaps I opposed or perhaps I've never, because it's not something I was paying attention to. She invited generous questions that allowed people to share their stories. And in the sharing of stories, people feel seen. And this is the power of a generous question, to open up space to see one another and to see ourselves. We can have an internal dialogue where we trap ourselves in these combative or constricted questions. What do I do next in just my career? What do I do next just for money? What do I do next in worlds that feel so overwhelming that I can barely even see a path forward? The kinds of questions we ask ourselves can also open up space for discovery and new possibility. Generous, curious questions. So Tippett invites us to formulate a question, roll it around in your life, write it down, hone it, make a commitment to it, carry it on your shoulder and in your ear. I wonder if there's a question you carry, a generous question that opens up space for the sharing of stories, for seeing and being seen. For those of you who meet with me for pastoral care or gather for small group ministry, one of our opening questions is, what is on your heart today? Knowing that what is on your heart may or may not be the same as what is on your mind. So that's one question that works in lots of situations. What is on your heart today? And in these political times, a question I have been carrying with, saying again and again, is what keeps you connected and what keeps you grounded? I find that question kind of breaks through some of the very understandable anxiety of this moment and opens up some greater spaciousness. So there are times I have that question ready to go. Another question I've been starting to carry in my own heart to ask just myself, because asking it to myself feels generous and asking it to other people is potentially combative, but that question is, why are you defensive? Let's be curious with this defensive feeling, Rebecca. What's behind it? There's big answers to that, depending on the context. We sang Building Bridges Between Our Divisions. If I reach out to you, will you reach out to me? Friends who can make such sweet harmony. Now, I want to be direct. I don't think that asking generous questions will bring the structural policy change that we need in this critical moment in America. And you will hear other fiery messages from the sermon from outside. We need community organizing, and community organizing needs good questions, right? Those of you who are trained in organizing, sure, know that a lot of it is relationship building bridges to people that perhaps you have a shared, some shared interest in a project, but you're much more than to build relationships there, ask generous questions there, helps really strengthen a network of solidarity so we can be effective, meaningful, simple. So building bridges between our divisions is all sorts of divisions, building connections further and further outward. Sometimes when people are asked to have curiosity as a way to look past judgmentalism, the person who cuts you off in traffic, or so many forms of daily anger or disrespect. And I've heard the advice, I imagine you heard it too, of like, what is the kind of day this person is having? This might be the worst day of their life, or right up there. And so going back to that hospital setting, it might be the worst day of somebody's life. were right up there in the emergency room, in the ICU. Student doctor having to call the time of death for the first time in their career, the orderly who's working overnight hours while going to divorce. There is so much there. So I think one of the strange gifts of a setting like a hospital is that it kind of cuts through the veneer of these more simple questions and allows us to meet each other heart to heart in some way, on some thing, and build that human connection. And so, what if we do go through our days having generous questions in our hearts, asking ourselves, would I respond differently if I knew more about what this truly terrible driver is going through? I mean, there's safety, it's okay. The human brain is designed to make judgment calls, and we want to keep that aspect of the judging brain, while somehow cutting through some of the judgmentalism that can hold us in our own small spaces. So friends, in this world that is so beautiful, so broken, in these spaces where loving arms can reach out to surround us and hateful arms can push us away, let us hold space for curiosity, hold space for generous questions that awaken and open our own hearts, that help us build bridges, that affirm our shared humanity in this world that we are remaking with love at the center. May it be so. Amen. Let's
Right. Here we all stand while we are in spirit. We are going to sing a song together, number 1022. This is one that many of you probably don't know. And it's going to feature some solos from Doug Garcia and Derek Jackson here. And so when we get to the verses of this piece, they will do the hard part, and all you have to sing is the let the dove fly. Right? So follow me. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open the window, let the dove fly. Mama and Papa outside sings. Open the window, let the dove fly. Babies are crying like a heart breaks. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open the window, children. Open the window. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open and let the neighbors talking over milk is so hard. Open the window, let the dove fly. We'll see what's through the sucker on the other side. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open the window, open the window. Open the window, children. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open the window, let the dove fly. Oh, trees for outside. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open the close for goodbye. Open the window, let the dove fly. Open the window, children. Open the window now. Open the window, children.
You may be seated.
We drink from wells we not dig, worship essential. As a voluntary association, our church is sustained. So the members, our congregation. We give online by going to .org on the donate the same contribution. If this is your first time worshiping with us, please let the offering your presence here today is a great gift to us and we will bring us following students for social. May the ushers come forward for the morning offering to support the good works of the United Person Parish Church. May it be joyfully given. Know that it will be grateful.
Here at United First Parish Church, we gather in many ways for worship and spiritual growth and to participate in the leadership of the congregation and so much more. You can read about our ongoing and upcoming programs in your weekly announcement insert. This is also emailed out to the congregation, and if you'd like to join our mailing list of folks gathering in person, you can fill out a connection card at the parish hall. Also fill out a virtual guest book form on our website. A few to highlight at this time. Next Sunday is our ministerial intern Ann Parsley will be doing a Memorial Day themed service, and we'll work with our flower committee with a table of honor, honoring deceased veterans and those who have died in combat. We're going to bring up some materials from our archives and honor that legacy within our own congregation, like you to bring pictures or mementos of deceased veterans or those who died in combat. So that's next Sunday. Looking ahead, May 31st is going to be a big, beautiful everything day. We're going to be honoring our graduate high school seniors and bridging ceremonies during worship, one on May 31st and one on June 7th. So to those to honor Sol and Alex. On Sunday, May 31st, after worship around 12:15, holding our annual meeting of the congregation that's in here. So we elect new members of the board and other elected leaders. We pass the budget, we get some updates, we ask and answer questions, and we participate in that circle of democracy that goes back in some way, shape, or form to 1639 and keep it alive and dynamic, expansive here in our moment as we uplift the future of the congregation for our present here and now. So members, please come to that. Friends are also welcome to come. No, you have to be here. Then in the evening on Sunday, May 1st, on the eve of Pride Month, we are co-hosting the 5th annual Progress Pride Flag Raising event, where we unveil beautiful 9 by 12-foot Progress Pride flags on our portico right here on the town square for the entirety of the month of June. A special shout out to Jim Petrusa, not only a member here, but the president of the city's LGBTQ commission. He's right there. We're going to applaud him. Organizers of this beautiful, beautiful event. So please do come to that on Sunday, first in the evening. And even further save the date, the Quincy Q Pride Festival, which is often on a Sunday early in June. This year is on Saturday, June 27th at Pageant. So we have time to prepare for that. It's kind of nice that events at both ends of Pride Month. It's a different rhythm that we've had here in Quincy in recent years, so I'm looking forward to that. And finally, looking ahead to the second weekend in June, we're having a next steps weekend for capital campaign readiness, working with a consultant that was recommended to us by many few congregations. And that includes a workshop on capital campaign readiness for the whole congregation. That's on Saturday, June 13th from 10 to 12. Mary Louise is getting us brunch, guys. It's going to be so great. So come and learn what a Catholic is. And what the next steps are for us is we take the vision and mission of this congregation and consider its future in terms of the building. You know, like our ancestors built this. It's turning 200 in like a year and a half. And how are we going to embody and care for this building? What are we going to do with and with this building going forward? So that weekend in June is going to have a lot of those conversations, including small group conversations with the board and different committees. But I'm really looking forward to that congregational workshop because I know some of us work in development, but most of us don't. So learning more about what is a capital campaign will be very useful information. Well, with that, let us return to that deep breath. I invite you to rise as you are willing and able for our words and words from one of our firstless ancestors, Hosea. Place your hands on your heart. If we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not, no other agreement can do us any good. Let us endeavor to keep the unity of the Spirit in the bonds of peace. May we go in love and go in peace to be a blessing to the world. Amen. I invite you to turn towards the center aisle so we might offer one another a sun benediction as I extinguish the chalice.
Last night I had a vision. People asking questions instead of talking without listening and pretending that the news was new. Sweet Lord, I've had some visions of people having conversations instead of staring at their tiny screens and pretending that they knew what to do. Take a breath, try to use the signs. I don't know, I've changed my mind. Between life and death, we'll find the time to get it right. Last night I had a vision of people being congratulated instead of ridiculed and hated for pretending that they made mistakes. I'm sick and tired of having visions. They keep coming to me nightly. This wouldn't be so very likely if everybody's ready for some changes to make. Take a breath, try to use the signs. I don't know, I've changed my mind. Feel like we'll find time to get it right. There are so few reasons left to fight. Every color is a shade of black. No more living life in black and white. Let's try and get it right. We are only here for a short time. Yet we're building walls around our minds. Every day's a chance to be more kind. Let's try and get it right. So the decided it's worse to you. And you made mistakes, I've made them too. There is only one thing left to do. Let's try and get it right. Take a breath. Try and use the signs. I don't know, I've changed my